Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Well, folks, he's at it yet again. Peter Brandt, one of the most famous, well-known, legendary chart analysts in all of crypto, again crapping all over XRP. I made a video sharing his most recent comment literally yesterday, and he just can't stop yapping about XRP. No matter how many times he's said over the years, and he has multiple times, he has stated over the years he's never going to post about XRP again because he starts feeling emotions. He gets all frustrated. He's like, this is my last XRP post. He just can't quit XRP. He just can't do it here. And so we got another update insulting, and it's just astonishing because this guy, he's been trading and doing chart analysis for close to 50 years, and he is legitimately good at it. However, every single move for XRP that matters for the last decade, he has missed or incorrectly predicted. Every single one of them. Literally every single one. It's truly astonishing. It's just crazy. And I guess he can't see this. His bias is so obviously seeping in to his XRP analysis because he has XRP derangement syndrome. He irrationally hates it. It just doesn't make sense. And so here we are. Now, that being said, it is possible the price of XRP can go lower. At the time I'm recording this, I mean, it's been trending to the downside. And so I'm going to share with you a commentary from, more from him, but for him, I don't take it seriously. Just to be clear. Whatever he's saying here, I don't take it seriously. Even if he ends up being right, I'll be like, well, why should I have trusted you anyway? You've been wrong consistently for a decade. So it's like the boy who cries wolf. I was saying that in a video just yesterday. It's like, why should I even trust you? So if by a fluke he ends up being correct, I'd be like, well, okay, I kind of doubt it, though. XRP getting down to about $1. But that said, I did find perspective from a few chart analysts who are worth listening to, and it's the worst, scariest stuff that I can find, and I'm making this video purely to terrorize all of you listening. No, seriously, I'll just say this. I'm in bull mode here, so even if in the short term price goes down, it's not going to be scary to me. I don't think that we're seeing top indicators. I don't think this cycle is different in that sense compared to previous cycles. I think we're going to blow off top. You're going to see Bitcoin dominance go down. You're going to have an alt season, all that stuff, which means XRP entering price discovery. But I am not afraid to share on my channel diverse viewpoints, including those that we don't want to see play out, even if it's negative for XRP price action. So I am going to highlight some of those. I just don't take Peter Brandt's analysis of XRP seriously at all. I'll listen to him on other stuff, but for XRP, absolutely not. I mean, he ended up getting a ton of traction in the world of crypto, and deservedly so, for calling the peak price for Bitcoin in December 2017 close to $20,000. People are just screaming at him he's wrong. And then he also accurately called the bottom in the middle of December of 2018. And so he does have skill. He just his brain becomes applesauce when it pertains to anything having to do with XRP, which is just hilarious here. So here's the post from yesterday that I covered in my video. This is from March 26th, and then I got an update for you because he just can't stop yapping about XRP. XRP lives rent-free in his mind, I'm telling you. So here he wrote, updating a chart for those interested. I have no vested interest up or down. XRP is forming a textbook head and shoulders pattern. So we are now range bound. Above $3, I would not want to be short. Below $1.90, I would not want to own it. Head and shoulders projects to $1.07. Don't shoot the messenger. And so when he says that he has no vested interest in up or down, that's a bunch of bullshit. He has a very vested interest because he has XRP derangement syndrome in this thing going down. He wants it to go to zero. He is heavily biased, irrationally biased. But still, and so he's screaming this stuff to 781,300 followers. That's intense, my friends. And that's why crypto media has been covering the stuff that he says about XRP too, which is why I'm like, it just makes me extra happy I have a platform where I can push back against this garbage, because he's just not worth listening to on XRP. If he says something about Bitcoin, okay, I'll listen because I know that you don't have Bitcoin derangement syndrome. You just have XRP derangement syndrome. But so here is the update, though. And this is hilarious because this insult is what I and many others say about Bitcoin specifically. But check this out. He again says, and this is, by the way, it's from yesterday afternoon. Don't shoot the messenger. Your favorite Beanie Baby / Pet Rock crypto displays a classic, complex head and shoulders top. Okay, so there we go. And I didn't come up with this, but I've been very recently, for recent months, a lot of times you may have heard me say Bitcoin is the pet rock of crypto because it's true and it's hilarious. It doesn't really do stuff, but it does exist, and there are some attributes that you want to have in crypto. you want a coin that's decentralized, right? So on and so forth. For example, you don't have counterparty risks. They're attributes that humans find desirable. But name for me one thing that Bitcoin can do, any sort of utility it can offer, that XRP cannot. Tell me what that, it doesn't exist, of course. Now, there are all sorts of things that XRP can do that Bitcoin can't do, which is why it's hilarious to call XRP the pet rock of crypto. The coin that is the best suited and most adopted for payments on a global scale in crypto. I mean, the answer is XRP. It just is. So fast, it effectively settles real time. And so cheap, transactions are literally a fraction of a penny. It turns out people value these attributes of XRP. So it's just so disingenuous. But again, this is his XRP derangement syndrome talking. He seems to be incapable of helping himself in this stuff. So it is what it is here. But then he again repeats, this could become bullish if $3 is exceeded. Otherwise, the implication is a decline to $1.07. If you have an issue with this, take it up with McGee and Edwards. And I'm assuming that those are famous chart analysts. I don't care. I don't care who McGee and Edwards are. Maybe those are his buddies. I don't care who they are. It doesn't matter. This is ridiculous. It's basically the same post, but it keeps getting traction. And then we have to talk about it because he's saying stupid things with his face hole. That's what he keeps doing here. And so in the off chance that he's correct, fine. I'm not counting on it because he's been wrong about everything. All of the major moves for a straight up freaking a decade. He's missed them all and bungled them all. But now he knows. Now he knows, right? It's just completely ridiculous. I absolutely refuse to take this guy seriously on anything having to do with XRP. But it is funny. Like, on the bright side, it's pretty funny to kind of mock this stuff. Like, it's stupid. Like, it's just completely absurd. Oh, my lord. So there we are. That's what's going now. By the way, worth mentioning, there are lots of analysts that have been pushing back, and I have highlighted some in recent weeks. Is there, like, the calls for a head and shoulders formation playing out, which would be negative. Fine. There are some analysts that have highlighted that. But there are more analysts that I follow that are like, come on. Like, I even remember the blockchain backer being like, that's one of the first, you remember him saying, like, that's one of the first, like, chart formations that you learn. And so many people think that that's the type of thing that's developing and so frequently and accurately cite that. So, I mean, if it is the case, again, fine. I just don't know why I should trust him. He's the boy who cried wolf. Why should I trust anything that he says? Although, again, like I said, there are some people, not afraid to highlight on the channel, who are warning that he's right, that there's actually a head and shoulders playing out here and that you could see a price drop. And so here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez just yesterday. And he says, if XRP can break above $3, it would invalidate the current head and shoulders pattern, potentially flipping the outlook bullish. And so he basically has the same opinion as Peter Brandt. So take it for what it's worth. I just don't trust Peter Brandt on XRP. That's it. Why would I? There's no good reason to trust him on anything that he has to say or do with XRP. And then he's pointing, if this head and shoulders plays out, he's got this arrow pointing down to like a $1.29. But having followed many analysts for many, many years, I know that when they just directionally write arrows like this, they tend to not mean that that's where they're saying the price would go to. They're just saying directionally, this is the type of thing to expect if it plays out. So I don't know if he actually thinks that it would go down to a $1.29 or if he's just saying directionally something like this. And so, yeah, that would be lower. Here's another one. And again, I'm just sharing with you. I'm not actually trying to scare people. I was joking about that earlier. But, there are some people that are warning we could go lower. Here's another chart analyst, Rakesh Upadhyay. He writes for Cointelegraph. Here's what he had to say about XRP. And again, to be clear, this is the scariest stuff I could find, and I don't find it terrifying. To be like, I personally don't. I think you let enough time pass, number go up. I still don't even find this to be probable, to be honest with you. Some of these price expectations. And either way, I still think we're just going to have a massive blow off top. So I just don't give a damn anyway. It just doesn't matter. I firmly believe that as long as I hold, I just beat everybody that doesn't have the type of patience that I have. So like my strategy's been the same since I jumped into crypto in 2017. Nothing's changed here. Nothing at all. But anyway, here's what Rakesh Upadhyay had to say. XRP turned down and broke below the moving averages on March 26, indicating that the bears remain sellers on every minor rise. The bears will try to sink the price to the vital support at $2. And by the way, I've seen tons of analysts note the importance of that $2 level. He then says buyers are expected to defend the level with all their might because a break below $2 will complete a bearish head and shoulders pattern. The XRP USDT pair may then plunge to $1.27. On the contrary, a strong bounce off the $2 support could keep the pair stuck inside the triangle for a while longer. The bulls will be back in the driver's seat on a break and close above the resistance line. So again, I've been able to find a few, but this is not what most XRP chart analysts think is likely to occur. So is Peter Brandt right this time after always being wrong for a decade? I don't know why I should trust him, like honestly. And then even if it does break down to that degree, because look, Credible Crypto, like he acknowledges, and he's one of the best out there in my mind. He's very pro XRP, and he firmly believes XRP this cycle, even if we drop lower, it's still going to $20 to $30. That's his price prediction for XRP this cycle. But he actually thinks there is a good chance that XRP, as cited here, and he shared this in multiple posts actually, XRP is going down to $1.60 to $1.80. So if directionally we do that, I mean, like, okay, Credible Crypto thinks that's certainly possible, and then we're going to ultimately have a local bottom and then a move to the upside. That's nowhere near the $1.07 mark that Peter Brandt's talking about, though. That's a big difference in price. So we'll see. Here's some of the latest from chart analyst Dom. The first post in this thread was from March 25th, and then there were a couple updates. And this first part I shared in a previous video, but check this out. And I think this aged pretty well. I mean, it's been a few days, only a few days, but still. It says XRP. The lawsuit news is now officially over and non-reactive. You must ask yourself, is this a good thing for a short/midterm price action? As seen with flows below, here actually just make this full screen. As seen with flows below, market barely cared for a few minutes on today's news. If you followed me closely, you should have expected this weeks ago. I tried to make it very clear. And so, of course, he's talking about the news about the Ripple SEC situation being over. And he says, I will continue to monitor if positions unwind now that this news is over with after about 5 years. I think the next couple weeks are going to be vital, as this would be the point that prices started to bleed. I am not yet convinced of that right here at mid-range, and honestly, I'm not even interested in positioning here. We need to see a clear breaks of the levels I have shown. Just be aware of the next week or two, as the price action will be telling. Okay, and so then he did provide an update yesterday, and he wrote, update, I said I would be monitoring if positions started to unwind after the lawsuit news, and that's exactly what's been happening. I can't be surprised, though, and then he quotes himself from that post, this would be the point that prices started to bleed, end quote. We have Bitcoin tanking, stocks tanking near lows, so it's hard to pinpoint this is just to XRP weakness. But I do know bulls need to step in very soon, or this range is in danger. So I'd say, folks, a key takeaway is this is not an XRP problem, okay? This is a market issue. And as I was highlighted in my last video, you should check it out. Global liquidity increasing, Bitcoin lags behind, and we're at a point where many experts in terms of market analysis, financial gurus out there, if you will, believe that this is the point where it would make sense, given the correlation we've seen for literal years, for the market to move to the upside, and XRP, of course, would go with it. This is not a great time to be fearful, in my estimation, anyway. Anyway, then Dom says, most of the crowd expected a huge rally after the XRP lawsuit concluded. I took the opposite end, warned of an exit pump weeks ago, and 2 days ago, I warned this is where prices would start to bleed. I don't want to be right, but so far it's playing out as I warned. And you know what? Fair enough. Somebody asked, hey, is there any chance of a reversal to the uptrend? And then he said, yes, of course. Range doesn't technically break until $2 is lost. But then again, how much can it do when stocks are free falling? Yeah, so if the macro environment is such that in the very short term, everything's in free fall, well, XRP is going to get impacted too. But I'm just saying, if that happens, it's not an XRP specific problem. And I don't think the cycle's over, so I don't care. I won't be afraid. I'm just sharing with you some of the scariest stuff I can find out here so that if it happens, you don't have to freak out. None of us know for sure what's going to happen. All these analysts, they don't know for sure what's going to happen here. But these are reasonable possibilities. I mean, Peter Brandt, I can't take him seriously, but these are reasonable things that could happen. So I'm just saying, if it happens, you don't have to lose your ever-loving mind. You can just be chill, like, oh yeah, that's right. All these talented chart analysts warn that there's actually something that's potentially in the cards, and life goes on. It's not the end of the world. That's why I highlight this stuff. Here's a post from Meet Greg Crypto. And he posted this just yesterday. He says, XRP 90 to 120 days until all-time high. The relative strength index chart below shows important historical patterns. I was one of the first to notice that XRP usually has two peaks during bull runs. Reviewing past cycles, we see that in 2021, the second peak occurred after 90 days, while in 2017, it took 120 days. This historical time frame provides us with a potential timeline for a great opportunity. Will history repeat itself, or will we experience an even longer peak? Yeah, so something that I've been talking about for years myself, actually, and I'm not a chart analyst myself, I have no interest in being one, just that bore me to tears. But it is true. In 2017, there were two major bursts. The thing is March or April, somewhere around there in 2017, and then another one half a year later, roughly December 2017. And then the next cycle, you had November 2020, and then April 2021. And so we've had our first major burst here in November 2024. When do we get that face melting one finally? Well, if history's going to kind of rhyme with itself, probably not long. So based on just how we've seen things play out in the past, when you're talking about 90 to 120 days until another all-time high in price discovery, that doesn't sound crazy to me at all. that could end up lining up pretty damn well. I mean, if history is to rhyme with itself, nobody can consistently predict time. Nobody can. But if you're just talking about, hey, what's happened in the past, what would that look like? Well, yeah, that would make a ton of sense, actually. And I still think it's coming. So all this, despite the most recent downward price action, it doesn't change anything. Crypto markets are just volatile. This is not the end of the world, folks. The best is yet ahead. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.